I want to talk about this comment because it's really, really dangerous and it's very damaging. And here's why. First of all, I am so grateful that you don't think that POTS is a big deal. I'm so glad to hear that you're doing well enough that it doesn't bother you that much. That is genuinely wonderful. That doesn't mean there are others who are doing as well. In fact, we have to recognize that there are others who are doing much worse than us, because right now, that means we can make the difference. We've got the energy that they don't have. So that means we can step up and fight for them. I hope you'll listen to a couple statistics that I have for you that may help you understand a little bit better. More than a third of POTS patients are so disabled they cannot attend work or school. And number two, the quality of life in POTS patients has been compared to that of people on dialysis in end-stage kidney failure. It's important to remember that these conditions, POTS and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, are both considered spectrum conditions, meaning there are some people who have really, really mild symptoms and they barely notice them. And then there are other people who are so severe that they are literally bedridden and they cannot function. I like to remind people that we could be the other person tomorrow, meaning we could be doing great today and then our symptoms progress and get worse and we are on the other side of that spectrum tomorrow. And it goes the other way too. We could be doing really, really badly today and really not well and get a lot better and do okay the next day. So we cannot forget the other exists because we could be them tomorrow. There are mothers and fathers who are having trouble raising their children because of these symptoms. They are not being dramatic. There are people in their careers who were in their prime and they were climbing the ladder and they were succeeding and doing really well and they had to leave their careers. They are not being dramatic. There are children and teenagers who can't go to school because these symptoms are so severe. They are not being dramatic. There are a whole lot of people who are severely disabled by this condition. And then there are some people who are doing okay. I had to leave my dream job as a news anchor a year ago. I loved that job. I had worked my whole life for that job. I mean, literally, I've wanted to be a news anchor since I was like 2. So leaving the career I had worked so hard for and actually made it to the place I wanted to be was devastating. I was not being dramatic. Believe me, if I wanted attention, I would have stayed on TV and news. I've had to miss family events and time with friends because I didn't feel well. I was not being dramatic. I was missing out and I was sick. The reason I chose to address this is because this is so damaging, not only to another patient, but also can be really damaging to public perception and in the medical community. If we go to a doctor and say, I have this condition, it's not that bad, and they're not familiar with it and they're not educated on the fact that it is a spectrum condition, they may get a patient who is much worse off and has much more severe symptoms, and they won't believe that person. That is damaging. And then that patient doesn't get the help that they need. It's also damaging to public perception. I see that you have 34,000 followers. Your account's private. I don't really know why, but with that many followers, that means you have a microphone here. And those of us with a microphone have got to support each other, and we have got to spread reliable information. That's what I aim to do here. And what your comment suggests is inaccurate information, and it is damaging to public perception. You have patients who are already being judged for their condition, and they are already not believed a lot of times. Being someone who claims to have this condition and saying it's not that bad undermines the experience of the other patient who is really, really struggling. And if you say that to a friend, and they say that to a friend, and they say that to a parent, and they say that to someone else, all of a sudden, people are going around and saying that those people who have that condition, who aren't doing so well, are just being dramatic. And that makes their quality of life even harder. I am so glad you don't know how bad this can get, and I hope you never do. And I'm so grateful that you're doing okay and that you have the ability to look at someone like me who has had so much trouble with this condition and has experienced so much hardship because of it. I am so glad you can look at someone like me and say I'm being dramatic, because that means you don't get it. And I'm genuinely grateful for that, because I don't wish that anyone truly understands how this feels. But because you are someone like me who has a microphone and has people they can reach online, I felt like I needed to address this. I don't mean to shame you, but we have an opportunity to do right by these patients and to help the cause move forward. And information like that comment is damaging to all of it. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this was educational, and I hope you will use your megaphone to spread reliable information and lift other patients up, and use the energy you clearly have right now to help those who can't.